tonight. The first round of the first four in Dayton was awesome with a capital A. Shout out to Dickie V. We can go ahead and knock off two teams off of this bracket as Howard and Texas move on, and Tremont Mark with back-to-back clutch buckets late in that game, and now set up a very, very interesting 6 versus 11. But I want to talk about Howard first, as they were the first one of the night. They survived late in a great battle, 86-83 final. An incredible way to start the tournament. We can put it that way. Coach Kenneth Blakeney gets it done. And the interesting thing about this is that it's the first tournament win. That's kind of the big takeaway of the night for them. First tournament win in school history. They hadn't made the tournament in like 30-ish years. It was close to 30 years, I believe, before Blakeney got hired. Since he's been hired there, they've made 3 tournaments and now have won a game, knocked off UMBC tonight, 86-83. And a lot of guys showed out and played like everything was on the line, which it was. Cedric Taylor has been that dude all year. I've enjoyed watching him. He's been a guy that's made his highlights have made their way onto my desk. You could put it that way. 16 points, 6 rebounds out of him. He was awesome. Ends up fouling out. But then you have Osei and Bryce. I can never remember how is it. I think it's Okoje. I think that's how they pronounce it. I will say I saw his post-game press conference, and that dude right there is exactly what, like, I know I'm butchering his names. I butcher a lot of names. That's exactly what you want your kid to grow up to be. Like what he talked about where he said he had all these leaders, and he names them all by name. That truly shows the impact that all those guys had on him, his OGs, his senior leaders, all this stuff. And he said, like, at some point the ball is going to stop bouncing. You have to, like, basically leave an impact on people outside of playing basketball, and it's all how you make people feel. And he goes out there and plays his absolute heart out, and then he's that good of a dude off the court. So incredible stuff there. Really, really cool to see the Howard Bison move on, and now they will play Michigan in a 16-1 game. Obviously, that's going to be a tough one. That's going to be a tough one. But they have the athleticism that can make things interesting. They grabbed, I felt like a lot of offensive rebounds tonight. Had some putbacks, had lob threats, had a ton of different stuff throughout this one that makes you think it can be a little bit interesting. I would imagine they're probably going to be like I don't even know, 40-point dog. It's not going to be the prettiest line, I'd imagine. But it's 31 and a half. So it's lower than I thought. But nonetheless, Howard moving on, getting their first NCAA tournament win. That's a big-time milestone. Great stuff from Howard. That is awesome. Now to the other game of the night, Texas versus NC State, a game that has already happened this year. We saw this game played in Maui, and in that one, it was Texas coming out on top, 102-97. This one was much different on the scoring end. Sean Miller referenced that in the postgame. He said that one was kind of a track meet, up and down a whole lot. This one was kind of slowed down. And honestly, on both ends, a lot of missed bunnies. There was some late by Dalen Swain. There was some throughout by Cartier Copeland. But nonetheless, and honestly, those by Copeland, he did a ton of good, but you can point to those and say maybe that's a reason why they end up falling in this one, 68-66. Tremont Mark hits one shot late to get them up. That as he's shooting it, Chuck on the call, which Chuck and Dickie, incredible call, incredible night. I thought they did the perfect call of the game because they would like spend enough time on hypothetical matchups, and then they'd spend enough time talking about the game, and then they'd talk about like their opinions on the current world of college basketball without like forcing you to like listen to where it's an uncomfortable amount. Like, it was awesome. I love the call. But as that shot, the second to last one by Tremont Mark, is going up, Chuck says, that's a Hail Mary. They're going to have to get a Hail Mary up. It's at the end of the shot clock, whatever. And Charles ended up being correct. It was a Hail Mary, a fadeaway at the free throw line, but it goes in. Tremont Mark hits that one, and then they get the one to him at the end where he hits a kind of right wing, deep 2 at the buzzer. Incredible shot by Mr. Mark. And his 5th buzzer beater in his career. So he's done it his whole career, and they talked to him. I think it was Jenny was talking to him after the game. And he said he just practices those shots, so it's kind of a routine at this point. And those shots are extremely difficult, but you can tell by how poised he was, and it was never like it was like, oh, I've just got to get this crazy shot up. So very, very impressive to be able to nail that shot and get this one done. Now, on the other side of things, on the dark side for Texas, a ton of choke job stuff. It was crazy. Passing it to the corner over and over and over and over again was terrible, and that allowed NC State an opportunity to get back in the game. Modest Vokatitis, unfortunately, had a couple bad fouls that he should have had some more awareness on. They're late, so those are kind of things that you can take from this one where you're like, we got that one out the way, we won it, and then move on, and hopefully that you don't have to find yourself in that situation going forward. So he finished with 15 and 8. I thought he did a lot of good things. It felt like he missed a lot of bunnies and stuff that he would usually hit. But unfortunately fouled out, and that was a big reason why Nick Cody had to step in late. And I thought he did a couple good things. He had the good putback off the Dalen Swain miss. And speaking of Dalen Swain, not a great game out of him. Like, I think the best is yet to come still in this postseason run. And but the story and the star of the game is Kendall Weaver. Like, Kendall Weaver, I tweeted about this during the game, and I said, he's exactly what you would want, or he's exactly what a coach's dream player plays like. That's exactly, he's in there as a 6'3" guard, getting a double-double, first double-double in his career, 11 and 10, with 2 steals, and it's the 10 that he gets. It's like, I think 5 of them were offensive rebounds. Like, those are so much harder to get, but it's heart over height for Kendall Weaver, and he just plays so hard. And he's one of those guys where it's like he's got the endless energy, but it's not like none of it's wasted. So like the one, I don't even remember who it was that contested that one layup late, but it was a kind of rough foul. It definitely should not even been looked at or anything. That shouldn't be reviewed. It was not that hard, but it was a tough foul. He could be mad about that, or like, didn't you start? But he like got fouled. He was like, all right, here we go. Let's get up. Let's go. Let's get the job done. That was exactly his mindset. He was awesome all night. I think they said he had 1 point in the SEC tournament, and then he comes out and has 11 and 10 in a double-double, and he's the recipe for a win here. So I think for a lot of these guys, they the best is yet to come for him, like I mentioned with Dalen Swain. But I think Heidi, he had some bad fouls, quick fouls that got him out of the game. I think he's got a lot ahead. Jordan Pope has done a lot of better things than he did in this one. I think there's a lot left on the table, and that's what makes it interesting about this matchup with BYU, because BYU doesn't necessarily have that rim protection and all that different stuff that you need against this team with the length that they have with Vokatitis and the quick guards and all that stuff that can get to the rim. So I'm not saying that they're going to, but I think it makes this very interesting. I don't know if there's already a line out for it, but man, it is it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun game. Classic Big 12. I think they would have been in the Big 12. I don't think they ever crossed, actually, unless I'm blanking. They've been in the SEC for 2 years. Maybe they crossed once. I don't know. It's past midnight on the Eastern time zone, so I'm a little out of it. But nonetheless, BYU, Texas, going to be a ton of fun. I think it's going to be a huge game for Kebaketa and AJ to be able to silence these boys. And I mean, AJ can go out and score 40 and do his thing. But that was the problem out of NC State tonight, which I will sadly go ahead and cross them off the dark side of March, as John Rothstein would say. But they've got to have a big game. Like they've got to figure it out against this Texas team to be able to move on and possibly face Gonzaga, maybe Kennesaw State. I don't know. But on the other side of things, NC State just didn't have enough of it tonight. Darian Williams is awesome. He got it going early. He had like 10 of the first 12 for NC State. Quadir Copeland had 16. Like I mentioned, he had a couple missed bunnies early. Started the game with one. That was kind of tough. It's been a thing all year that has kind of loomed over this team, where I feel like every time I've watched the game, he's had at least like 1, maybe 1 to 2. Every single game, he's missing these layups. But he's also a guy that he had the one play late. Like these are the guys that you just got to love. Like he had the one play late in the second half where Jordan Pope pulled the chair on him. He falls, whatever, gets stolen. I don't remember who. I think it might have been Trey Holloman, tips it, whatever. And then they throw a lob to him. He's getting a backward slam, oop, and they're just getting back into it. And it was like, here comes North Carolina State. here come the Wolfpack. But it was kind of led by him, being able to get past that and not let one play wear him down and then catch that lob and move on. But yeah, it got interesting late. Thanks to a Paul McNeil 3 that was absolutely incredible. But it just wasn't enough, and Texas leaves UD Arena with a win. Now, for Texas, obviously they've still got something to play. NC State, that is the end of year 1 for Will Wade. And I would say, if I had to grade the year for Will Wade, I would give it the finish is the problem. Like, they had some pretty good, they had a good run. They have the Seton Hall loss, Texas, Auburn. Like, none of the losses, Georgia Tech's bad, Notre Dame's bad. The ending is throwing it off. I would give it I would say C+. I don't know if I'm being too harsh, but finishing, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th in the ACC year 1. They're going to get some good portal pickups. I have a feeling about that. And obviously he kind of had only so much to work with. I know they got Holloman, and they ended up getting Darian Williams later in the portal and stuff and all of that. But I don't know. It's just, I feel like it's going to be a completely new vibe to next year's team. And if they can return Paul McNeil, that's a good way to start things. I don't know, man. They just have there's a lot of seniors in this group, but I would give it a C+. It's all the finish. I think before that finish, if you just finished like 500 in those, this is a B year, B- at the worst, I think. But the finish makes it difficult. So the NC State Wolfpack is officially done, but there's no better way to go out than absolutely fighting until the last buzzer. And sadly, that last shot got blocked, so you didn't even get to get a look up. But great season nonetheless. And honestly, this ACC doesn't get enough credit, in my opinion, for how good and how it's not super deep, but the middle of the pack teams are much better than I think people give them credit for. So being able to finish 7th in this one, obviously you wish to be higher, but there's some really good teams ahead of you. So I think this is the foundation of it, and it's only up from here if you're NC State. So, but for Texas, sights set on BYU now, and you have that very, very important game, and you now have a tournament win in the Sean Miller era, and it's going to be a lot of fun seeing that BYU game. It's going to be a lot of athletes, a lot of really good play, and I think BYU is going to have their hands full. And Texas, like I mentioned, playing as poorly at times as they did tonight, being able to pull out this win, it means a lot, and I think it can go a long way. So I think there's something to be said about like getting the jitters out and getting those. I mean, you're playing on that beautiful logo, on that beautiful March Madness logo, getting those jitters out in this one where you essentially led start to finish. I mean, they gave up the lead early second half, but they really led most of the game. They led 88% of the time. So if they could continue to dominate the boards like that, they dominated them by 12. And if you can do that, I think you're going to be at a great spot against BYU. Now, obviously, you're going to have a top 3 player in America, top 2. I don't know. I don't even know where you want to put AJ Devanza, but one of the best in America on the other side instead of NC State. So not saying that's a shot at NC State, but they don't have an AJ on the team. So I'm very excited for it. I can't wait. It's going to be a thriller and one of those 6-11 games that you just got to be excited about. Very, very encouraged by that matchup, to say the least. But now I've scratched off UMBC. I have scratched off NC State. We move on to Miami, Ohio versus SMU and Prairie View versus Lehigh. Can't wait to talk about those. I'll be back talking about those games. I plan to be back every single night of the tournament. That's my goal. Some of them are going to be difficult because of prior plans and different stuff, but I will do my best. Join me for that ride. Subscribe if you haven't yet. If you're new to the channel, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed. I love to just talk ball. I react to these games immediately. And that's kind of what it is. I just love basketball, love college basketball, and plan to cover it the entire time. So join me for this. Peace.